Hey everybody, David with the Wholesaler's Toolbox, and I wanted to make a video today and talk about what it takes to get a deal or what it takes to find a wholesale deal. And the reason I wanted to put this video together was there's so many course creators and product creators in the real estate industry and especially in the wholesaling industry that put out products and they advertise it as turnkey or their secret method or whatever, and they make it sound like it's super easy to go out and find a wholesale deal because they want to sell a product, right? Because they want you to buy into the thing that they're selling, and oh, this is going to solve my problems, and I'm going to go out and it's going to be like the snap of a finger and I'm going to have a deal. And that's not reality. This is just like any other job. It's like any other career. You've got to put work into it. So I want to walk through some slides here I put together and really explain what it takes to get a deal. All right. And the first thing that I think we need to focus on is where you are getting your leads from. And different leads have different quality to them. So, how are you generating those leads? Did you put up bandit signs, and people are calling off the bandit signs? Are you driving for dollars and finding properties and then, sending them letters or putting letters on the properties? Are you buying lists and doing cold calling and going down, on your, going down your list, on your phone, calling people, or, just where are you getting leads? Also, what type of leads are they? Are they probate leads? Are they just absentee owner leads? So lead quality has a lot to do with it. So when getting leads, I find that driving for dollars leads are really good because you're putting notes or you're sending letters to houses that look like this one on the slide with boards on the window, or you can tell they're distressed. To me, that's a good lead. Bandit side leads are good leads to me because if somebody takes the time of calling off a bandit sign, they're motivated to sell typically. All right, so and those leads are better than just maybe a generic absentee owner list where you just know, the person owns a property and they live somewhere else, which isn't really a sign of motivation until you say they're an absentee owner that owns a vacant property that's back on taxes. So you need to know that the leads that you're generating are good motivated seller leads. And then the next thing we need to really think about is what's your skill level? If you get people calling you, are you comfortable talking to them about their house that they want to sell? Do you build rapport quickly with people? Do people trust you? Can you get that back and forth going with them, and you're somebody that they want to deal with? So and lastly, how well do you negotiate deals? You might get along really well with people, and they might like you, but you might stink at negotiating. So that's something that plays into this whole thing. Building rapport, and can you present a price to them in a way that they understand that they're going to have to take less for their house because of the condition it's in. So before we get into all the numbers, I just wanted to talk about those two things. You need quality leads, and you need to have a skill level, that is going to help you close deals. Now, if your skill level isn't up there, the more you do this, the more you'll refine your skills and you'll get better at closing and better at negotiating and better at building rapport. But you've got to consider that when we're talking about the numbers. All right, so I'm going to give you the secret number that I think everybody should start with on how many leads you need to generate a deal. Now, this is going to vary. It's going to vary for your skill level, for, the type of leads you're getting, for the area you're in. If you're in, Detroit like I am, people might be more motivated to sell, and there might be more opportunities than there is in a luxury beach community. So you have to take that into consideration too. But the magic number I want us to work with today is 20. All right. 20 leads to get a deal. Because when people start calling off of your advertising or your mailers, or you start picking up the phone when you're calling them off of cold calls, they're not all going to be good leads. All right. Some of them aren't going to be really motivated to sell. They might want to sell, but they're not motivated to sell at a price you want to buy. The house might be, all remodeled and too nice for it to be a wholesale deal. They might owe too much on the house, or whatever. So every lead that comes in isn't a deal. So we're going to have to weed out, a lot of people out of these deals or out of the leads until we boil it down till we get a deal. All right. So let's take a look at the four top ways that people generate leads. Okay, you've got cold calling. A lot of people getting on the phone now, getting a list and just getting on the phone and calling number after number until they find somebody that's ready to sell. You have direct mail. For years everybody say, oh, mail to absentee owners, but a lot of people do mail to absentee, to vacant, to probate, to all the different motivation types. So we're going to talk about how much direct mail you need to get a deal. All right. And then driving for dollars, which is my favorite way to find deals. But let's talk about how much driving for dollars you have to do to find a deal, because a lot of people think they can go out, Sunday afternoon for 2 hours and that's it, and find a deal. And often it takes a lot more than that. I mean, you might get lucky and find one, but to consistently do deals, you're going to have to get out there and drive. And then, lastly, bandit signs. People still use bandit signs because they're effective, but we're going to talk about how many bandit signs you need to get a deal or to consistently get deals, right? So let's start with the cold calling. So if you're hand dialing and you're just, you've got your phone and you're punching in phone numbers and you're calling, you can do like 20 to 30 calls an hour. And if you're doing it all day, you can crank out 180 calls in 6 hours, because you're going to get up and, go to the bathroom, get something to eat or whatever. So I just use, 6 hours as a typical day. Now, if you have an auto dialer where you've got a system that actually ringing the numbers for you, you can do a lot more. You can do 60 to 75 calls an hour, 450 calls in that same 6 hour period. All right, so every number you dial, you're gonna have numbers out of service, that you can't get through to. A lot of them are going to go to voicemail because people don't pick up their phones anymore. Whatever, but if you consistently do calls, you're going to have about a 10% contact rate out of those calls. So let's take an average between 180 and the 450 and just average these numbers out, and say you're doing 270 calls a day with a 10% contact rate is going to give you 27 conversations. All right. So you're going to get 27 people on the phone to talk about the vacant house that they have, or the rental house they have, or whatever kind of leads you're calling. Out of those conversations, we can figure that 15 of those conversations turn into a lead. Okay, so you can have almost 2 leads a day. So we'll just consider it 2 leads a day. All right. Out of those 2 leads a day, you're going to need to do this for 10 days consecutively, or 10 days in total, to get 20 leads to equal a deal. All right. 20 leads is going to lead to 2 appointments, which is going to lead to 1 deal. So again, out of the 20 leads, some people are just, they're not going to want to sell it wholesale. They're going to want full price. They just remodeled it. Some of them are unrealistic about what their house should sell for, but you're looking for people that have distressed houses or that for some reason are very motivated to sell. Their house is back on taxes. They're about to lose it at tax sale. They're going through a divorce or whatever, but they want to sell it. They want to sell it right now. They don't want to list with an agent. They don't want to deal with the problem anymore. They don't want to sell it. So out of 20 leads, you're going to find two people like that. Okay. That the house, the numbers work and they're ready to sell. And out of those two appointments, we're going to get one deal. All right. We're going to get one under contract. Again, these are just averages, but I want to give you some numbers to work with. All right, now let's take a look at the costs of cold calling. You're going to have to buy a list of about 3,000 properties, because if you're going to call, 270 or just under 300 people a day for 10 days, you're going to need a list of people to call. So you're going to have to get the list, and you can get the list through, PropStream or, another service like that. Then you're going to have to skip trace them to get phone numbers. And then, you might want to get cold calling software like, I'll mention some tools at the end, but something that where you can, have it dial for you, and it's dialing numbers quicker than you can dial them. All right. So the total cost of cold calling and, enough people to get 20 leads or to get one deal is going to be about $400 and about 60 hours of your time. 60 hours being, the time it takes to cold call of them, and then, going and looking at the houses and everything you need to do to get a deal. So cold calling, $400, 60 hours will get you a deal. All right, let's hop down here and discuss direct mail. Direct mail, yellow letters or whatever you're sending out, has a really bad response rate. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to talk about it, but it's a fact. I've sent a lot of direct mail. I know a lot of people that send direct mail, and it's a low response rate, but you can do it quick. Okay. You can just dump, 2,000 letters in the mail and get 20 calls. All right. Out of the 20 calls, you'll get 2 appointments. Out of the 2 appointments, you'll get a deal. All right. It's expensive, but it works if you don't mind your cost per lead being a lot higher. And for people that don't want to sit on the phone and call people or drive for dollars or go out and put up Bandit signs, direct mail works for them. All right. So the cost of direct mail, let's take a look at it. To send out a letter, you're going to pay between $1 and $1.25 a letter, depending on if you have like a mail house do it or you're doing it or whatever. So right there, you're going to be into it for, like $2,500. All right. You've got, the letter, you've got paper, envelopes, ink, if you're doing yourself, postage, whatever. If you send out postcards, it's cheaper. You're going to be able to do it for about 55 cents per postcard. Times 200 is going to, cost you $1,100. Again, you need to get, the names from somewhere if you're going to send out direct mail. So PropStream, Vacant Property Data Feed, Deal Machine, you pick up any of those, buy a list, and send it out to 2,000 people. So total cost of direct mail is going to be $1,200 to $2,600 in 6 hours of time. Now, 6 hours of time, it's not going to take you hardly any time to generate a list and to, click send in one of these systems. But, you're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to go look at the houses or whatever. So I put 6 hours of time in there for you to respond to people calling off the mail. All right, now we're going to hop into driving for dollars. Driving for dollars is going to give you the best response rate. And in the way that I do it personally, where you're going to drive to the house, you're going to, use Deal Machine or just, print out a map off of Google, go to a city, drive up and down the streets looking for vacant houses. When you find a vacant house, post a letter on the door. Just say, hey, I'm a local investor. I'm working on another deal in your neighborhood. I saw your house, just curious if you want to sell. If so, give me a call and put your number down there. That's going to give you a higher response rate because you physically went to the house. You left a note on somebody's door. They're going to open it. and more people are going to call you. All right, so 4% response rate. If you add Deal Machine into it, Deal Machine, the Driving for Dollars app, it's going to add 1 to 2% to your number, because in addition to leaving the note on the door, you're also going to send them a postcard with a picture of their house and say, hey, I was by this house. Are you willing to sell it? And that's going to bump your percentage up there. But 325 door letters or 325 houses is going to generate 20 calls for you. Out of those 20 calls, we're going to get the 2 appointments. Out of the 2 appointments, we're going to get 1 deal. The cost of driving for dollars, we've got to figure in gas to be fair, because you're going to have to pay for it. I would say driving for dollars is free, but that's not reality. You're going to have to fill up your tank a couple times to drive to all these houses. Okay, if you send out postcards, it's going to cost you $250 to send them out. Door letters and supplies, you're going to have to print the door letter, buy some envelopes, put them in the envelopes, all that. So you've got $25 in supplies. And it's going to take you some time to drive up and down all these streets, right? To hit 325 hours, it's going to take you, to hit 325 houses, it's going to take 30 or 40 hours of just, driving up and down neighborhood streets looking for it. I would suggest doing it systematically so you don't, repeat your steps, but this is how long it's going to take. So the total cost of finding a deal through driving for dollars is going to cost anywhere between $125 and $375 and 40 hours time. Lastly, let's take a look at Bandit signs. Bandit signs work, or you wouldn't see them all over the place. I've used Bandit signs and they make the phone ring. The key to it is putting them in high traffic areas. So, if you're working, a major city, if you're in Tampa or Houston or Detroit or Chicago or, New Jersey, you're going to want to put them where there's a lot of people at. There's intersections where it's busy both ways and it's 3 lanes and all that, and you're going to get more calls on them. So if you put out 200 signs, you're going to generate 20 calls, because each sign's going to generate, we're going to calculate 1 call for you. 20 calls equals 2 appointments. 2 appointments equal 1 deal. The key, and I've got it written here on this slide, with Bandit signs, like anything, it's not one and done. You can't put out 200 Bandit signs and just think, oh, that's it. That's all the money I'm going to have to put in marketing. Just like sending out letters, just like driving for dollars, just like cold calling, you have to keep doing it, because the cities are going to take your signs down. So you're going to have to figure, I'm going to put up 200 signs a month, or 100 signs a week, and do 400 a month or whatever, but you're going to have to come up with some kind of system to do it. All right, so the cost on Bandit signs, the signs are going to cost you $300. All right, they're about $1.50 a piece right now. If you're going to use the little wire stakes and put them in the ground, they're going to be another $300 for the wire stakes. You don't have to do that. You can nail them on phone poles. You can get zip ties and zip tie them on fence or on smaller poles or whatever. But you need some way to attach them to whatever. You're going to spend some gas going out to put them all up, because you're going to want to drive all over town and do it. And then you're going to have, the time invested in putting them up and going to look at the houses and everything. So I put 6 hours of time involved in this. So total cost, $375 to $650, depending on if you use the wire stakes or not, and 6 hours of time. All right, cost of marketing per deal. So let's recap this. So if you're cold calling, it's going to cost you, about $400 and 60 hours of time to get a deal. If you're doing direct mail, it's more. It's $1,200 to $2,100, but only a couple hours time to do it. Driving for dollars, lower cost, but 40 hours of time to go out and find a deal. And Bandit sign, a little bit more on the cost, but less time, only 6 hours to, to generate a deal. So you just have to figure out what method is right for you. Do you have money and no time to, or less time to work it? Then maybe you're going to want to do direct mail. But if you're on a budget, you don't have a lot of money to spend on marketing, you want to get in the car and start driving for dollars, right? Bandit signs, less time, a little bit more money than driving for dollars, but still effective. And cold calling just takes a lot of time, right? So that's why a lot of people are cold calling, because they don't have a lot of money, but they can sit and crank out calls. Personally, I like to get out. I like to drive neighborhoods. I don't like to be in the office. So driving for dollars is my preferred method. All right, tools needed to do all of the different methods. All right. If you're cold calling, you can use a regular phone, or if you want to crank it up, you can get something like Mojo Dialer that's going to, make the calls for you. But you're going to, that's going to cost you, I believe Mojo Dialer is probably, $150 a month to subscribe to that, but it is going to increase your production. If you're doing direct mail, Deal Machine, Prop Stream, Vacant House Data Feed, any of them, you can get in there. You can custom make a list of motivation, different motivation levels, and, just hit send and send them all a postcard. If you're driving for dollars, I mean, you've got to have the door letters minimum. But if you want to get an additional tool, Deal Machine's great for driving for dollars, because as you find the houses and as you tape, the note on the door, you can also, click send and start a postcard campaign for them. And then if you want to utilize Bandit signs, Dirt Cheap Signs has been the place for years for wholesalers to buy signs, and I'm pretty sure they're still the cheapest if you look around. So Dirt Cheap Signs would be the place to go on that. All right, so it's important, if you, whatever you decide, cold calling, direct mail, driving for dollars, Bandit signs, pick one and stick with it until you get your first couple deals. All right. Me personally, I started with driving for dollars. I still do it. But when I started, I went out and drove for dollars, got a few deals, 5, 6 deals under my belt. And then I played with other marketing methods, direct mail. I started sending some direct mail. I did some Bandit signs. Cold calling's never been my thing, so I'm not going to act like I sat and cold call people. But I waited until I had some deals under my belt before I tried anything else. And I think you should do too, because too many people in this business jump around and this person says this is easier or this strategy is easier. Figure out what you think will work best for you, and don't do anything else until you get a deal. All right. So lastly, don't let up on your marketing efforts. All right. When you start getting leads from whatever method you choose, you can't just stop. You can't go, oh, I've got, a couple leads now. So, I'm just going to go take care of those. And then when those close, I'll go out and start marketing again. You can't do that. You have to continually market and keep leads coming in. So if somebody calls and you talk to them and they're a motivated seller and you go look at their house and, write a deal or whatever, then you go back and get in your car and start driving again, or you go put more Bandit signs up again, or you send out more mail. You can't stop just because somebody calls. You have to continually market to keep the leads getting into your pipeline, so it just doesn't dry up. Because the worst thing is, going and doing all that marketing, getting a deal, closing on the deal, and then having to start from scratch again and having nothing in the pipeline. So if you keep going and you keep doing it, eventually you'll have a steady stream of motivated sellers coming in, and you'll have a profitable wholesaling business. Okay, so that's it. That's the video. I just, I talk to so many people, they say, oh, I went out and I drove for dollars for, for a couple hours, but I haven't got any deals. Or, I sent out, 100 postcards and nobody called. It takes more than that. And I just wanted to make a video and explain what's involved in wholesaling and what it takes to get a deal. So that's it. If you need any scripts for calling people, or for talking to motivated sellers or cash buyers, or you need contracts or assignment agreements, or anything to do with wholesaling, please visit my website, thewholesaleerstoolbox.com. And all my content is free. Just get on there and download whatever you want, and hopefully I can assist you in that way on getting more wholesale deals, and making your wholesaling journey a success. So until the next video, take care, and I will talk to you soon.